BJ Mafia, what's poppin'? So in 2023, we are in the modern era of three-point shooting and spacing the floor. But as of right now, there are three big men dominating the NBA as of right now. Center from the Philadelphia 76ers, Joel Embiid. Center from the Denver Nuggets, Nikola Jokic. And forward/center from the Milwaukee Bucks, Giannis Antetokounmpo. All three of these players have been extremely dominant and have playing at an exceptional level this season. All three of these players are deserving of this year's MVP award, but unfortunately, two of these guys are unfortunately going to have to get snubbed. And I'm going to talk about today all three of these players, each of their resumes this regular season so far, and at the very end, I'm going to talk about who I would pick to win this year's MVP award. Let's get into the first candidate. Now, the first player we're going to talk about is going to be with forward from the Milwaukee Bucks, Giannis Antetokounmpo. Undoubtedly so. Let me make this very clear. Giannis is still the best player in basketball to this day. Since 2018, since 2019, Giannis Antetokounmpo has been the best player in basketball. He's the most dominant player in basketball on both ends of the court. But Giannis this season has played exceptional. Giannis is the #1 seed in the Eastern Conference with a record of 49-19. And Giannis has been doing this for a majority of the season without his second best player in Chris Middleton, who's only appeared in 25 games so far this season, even though Drew Holiday did make this year's All-Star game. Giannis Antetokounmpo in 53 games is averaging 31, 12, and 5 on 54, 29%, and 60% true shooting percentage. Giannis does have a player efficiency rating of a 28.6 when you look back at his two MVP years. That is a little bit of a dip because his defensive numbers have taken a little bit of a dip, but he's still, to me, the best two-way player in basketball. Giannis is also a plus 290 when on the court. He's the #1 player in terms of usage rate this season at a 38.7%. And of all the top three candidates for this year's MVP race, he's the best defensive rating in basketball between these three guys with a 107 defensive rating. Another stat that you could add to Giannis's MVP criteria for this season is he is the most 45 in 10 games, 6 of them to be exact this season, by any player in a season since Russell Westbrook, who had 6 in his MVP campaign. Giannis still, to me, is the best player in basketball. I cannot drive that point home enough. The best two-way player, the most dominating and physical specimen in the game, especially on the interior. It does not matter who he's going up against. He will play bully ball, he will get downhill, and there's no stopping him. We've seen his passing ability get better over the years. It doesn't matter what the situation is. Giannis Antetokounmpo is a physical dominant specimen, and no matter what, even if he doesn't win this year's MVP award, he's still the best player in basketball. Let's get into the next candidate. Now let's move out west and let's talk about center from the Denver Nuggets, Nikola Jokic. They are the #1 seed in the Western Conference as of right now with a 46-22 record. The Grizzlies, who are the #2 seed, are still 4.5 games back, so they are sitting comfortably with the #1 seed, even on a 3-game losing streak. But Jokic has had a maintained level of consistency the entire year, even though what it seems like he's tailing off a little bit right now. In 60 games this season, Jokic is averaging a triple-double on 25, 12, and 10, and he is shooting splits of a 63, 41, and 70% true shooting percentage. And Jokic is also a great big man when it comes to connecting at the charity stripe, shooting about 81% from the free throw line, and he also has a player efficiency rating of a 31.6. When Jokic is on the court, because people love to talk about how horrendous his defense is, and we'll get into that in a second, he's a plus 588 on the court, and also the Denver Nuggets are 25-2 when he records a triple-double. And yes, they have lost those last 2 games to the San Antonio Spurs and the Brooklyn Nets. And in that Brooklyn Nets game, he did miss a free throw with 41 seconds, and he also did miss 2 game-winning potential shots at the very end of the game that he missed both of them. But Jokic is also the first center since Wilt Chamberlain to have 600 plus and still counting assists in a season. We know him to not only be the best passing big man in today's modern NBA, he's one of the best passing big men of all time, and he's one of the best passers in NBA history. And with Jokic, yes, we have to talk about the defensive side of the ball, because I don't care what advanced analytics you want to throw out there, the eyeball test tells you, not just this season, but in general, Jokic is a subpar to below average defender, and it's clearly evident yet again. Teams are consistently attacking him in the pick and roll. Teams can blow right by him, and guys can get around him, and he also consistently is just sticking his leg out to kick the ball when it's not necessary. That's something the NBA needs to look into. But between the 3 guys at the top of the race for the MVP award that I'm talking about here today, Jokic is last in terms of defensive rating with a 109.8. But getting back to the positive side of Nikola Jokic and his MVP campaign is he's not playing with another all-star on his roster. While yes, they do have a solid roster and foundation with guys like Michael Porter Jr., Jamal Murray, Aaron Gordon, Reggie Jackson, and the list goes on, Michael Porter Jr. and Jamal Murray, these guys are not all-star players, maybe yet, but they are not all-stars. And Jokic is also top 5 in the NBA in quality looks for open teammates when you're talking about his passing ability, his ability to do the inverted pick and roll, his ability to get down deep into the post, kick out, score on all 3 levels, do whatever it is he does. It's his ability to see the floor, run the floor, and adjust to what the defense is presenting to him. Jokic truly is one of the smartest and highest IQ players I have ever watched in my entire lifetime. And the last big stat I want to drive home with this Nikola Jokic MVP campaign is he is number 46 in the NBA. Number 46 in the entire association in usage rate at a 27.1%, and he's still putting up a triple-double with amazing efficiency as the number 1 seed in the Western Conference. He does not have a usage rate of a 37 or a 35, unlike some of these other players in the NBA who are still dominating in their own right. But Jokic has a 27.1 usage rate, 46 in the association, and he's still putting up these numbers with this efficiency. You cannot say enough about the job that he has done for this Denver Nuggets team. Now getting into the last candidate with superstar center for the Philadelphia 76ers, Joel Embiid. He currently has the Sixers as the number 3 seed in the Eastern Conference. They have a record of 45-22. 3.5 games back of the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference. Something that I do want to bring up really quickly about Embiid is when he did go up against Nikola Jokic at the Wells Fargo Center, that was an amazing game, but also Embiid had his way with Jokic the entire game. 47-18 by Embiid, just an absolute dominant performance by him. But Embiid in 54 games this season is averaging 33, 10, and 4 on 54, 35, and 65% shooting splits. Embiid has a career-high 31.1 player efficiency rating. He is number 3 in the association in terms of usage rate at a 37%, and he's number 2 behind Giannis Antetokounmpo when we're talking about all the other candidates for this year's MVP race, and in terms of defensive rating at 108.6. We know Embiid to be a significantly better and much more of an upgrade defender over a guy like Nikola Jokic, and the stats not only back that up, but also the eyeball test will tell you that too. Embiid's also contributing 1.1 steals per game and 1.6 blocks per game. But to also put this into its proper perspective, the Philadelphia 76ers as a whole are the number 2 offense in basketball post All-Star break. Now, kind of getting into the negative criteria of Joel Embiid just a little bit, we do have to mention the fact that he does get to the charity stripe 12 attempts a game, but he does connect on about 11 of those. He's shooting 85% from the free throw line this season, and while that's incredible, I will say that yes, while he is one of the most dominant big men in the game and he's one of the most dominant forces in the game, it's not easy to stop him. Of course he's going to get his foul calls and he's going to get to the line. But anybody who's watched a good handful of 76ers game or has watched a lot of Philadelphia basketball, coming from a person who has, it is sometimes so egregiously hard to watch Joel Embiid get every single foul call. I'm not saying it's every night, but seeing him at the line 12 times a game, sometimes it feels like he's at the line 20 times a game. There are times where it just feels like the refs just blow the whistle if you breathe on Joel Embiid. I get it. He's a dominant force, and I give him that. But he doesn't deserve to get every single call going his way, and sometimes it's just absolutely boring to watch him at the line that many times. That's something that a lot of fans have taken back from Joel Embiid. That's something that's definitely something you're going to bring up when you're talking about the MVP award, because he's getting a third of his points essentially from the charity stripe. But that's just something I had to bring up. And another negative that you could bring up about Joel Embiid and his MVP campaign is the fact that he is playing with another superstar talented player in James Harden. And even though Harden didn't make this year's All-Star game, he was not only snubbed, but Harden's having one of the best seasons of his career, if not the best season of his career, when you're talking about just his efficiency as a whole. Harden this season is averaging 22, 6, and 11 on 45, 40, and 62 shooting splits. That 40% from deep is a career high for him, and that is saying a lot considering from his days back in Houston. And like I said, Joel Embiid is a physical specimen, one of the most dominant forces in the game today, and he truly takes over games. I remember watching that 60-piece versus the Utah Jazz, and I couldn't believe what I was watching. And we saw Joel Embiid also have that game winner versus the Portland Trailblazers the other night. Just an incredible job by him. He truly is an amazing superstar caliber player when he's healthy. Now getting into my final verdict, who do I have winning this year's MVP award? I have Nikola Jokic winning this year's MVP award. Now, I know that that's the boring answer. I know that's the majority answer, and I also understand that Vegas odds has him as the best odds to win this year's MVP award, and rightfully so. And I'm not taking anything away from Giannis Antetokounmpo, the most dominant and best player in the game today, Joel Embiid, who's a superstar in his own rights, and it's gonna be a damn shame that we're gonna look back in 5, 10, 20 years from now and say Joel Embiid had 3 dominant seasons in a row consecutively and finished second in MVP voting for 3 straight years, and he never got one of those MVPs. I am completely aware of that, But what Nikola Jokic is doing, especially on the fact that he is number 46 in the NBA in usage rate, and he's putting up the numbers that he is putting up with the efficiency, with the success, the team is winning, and the fact that Nikola Jokic, by definition, is more valuable to his team's success in my eyes than Joel Embiid is to the Sixers and Giannis is to the Bucks. Not taking anything away from them, Nikola Jokic is this year's MVP, in my opinion. And for me, it's not just Nikola Jokic's ability to pass the ball and make an impact on the game on the offensive end. It really is his ability to get other guys open shots even when he does not have the ball. Teams are consistently, schematically trying to triple and double team Jokic, get the ball out of his hands, and he can make every single pass in the game. Jokic is that guy, and I'm not taking anything away from Embiid because he is dominant, but having a guy like James Harden to alleviate a lot of that pressure, and the 76ers have an even better team around Joel Embiid than Jokic does in Denver, and I'm not trying to sit here and nitpick, but I mean Tyrese Maxey, Tobias Harris, James Harden, PJ Tucker, the list goes on. Like, that is a very good and solid core and foundation in there. And it's not like the Nuggets have a bunch of bums on their team. Michael Porter, Jamal Murray, the list goes on. They've got a solid foundation. But I just truly believe that Jokic will be this year's MVP award winner. I would not be mad if Joel Embiid or Giannis Antetokounmpo wins. All three of these guys have made a strong case and campaign this season for why they should win this year's MVP award. But to me, the award's going to go to Jokic. Jokic will be a 3-time award winner, and he's going to be the first guy to win it 3 consecutive years, I believe, for the first time since Larry Bird. But NBA fans, I want to hear your guys' thoughts in the comments down below. Who do you guys have winning this year's MVP award in your opinion? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. But if you guys enjoyed today's video, man, make sure you guys drop me a thumbs up. It takes 1 second and it helps me and the channel out tremendously. And if you guys are new here, consider hitting that subscribe bell to stay tuned for more NBA content that I do here on YouTube. And make sure that you guys go follow me on my socials on Twitter, Instagram, and on TikTok. I'm very active and I'm on there just about every single day. So the link tree will be in the description down below so that you guys can go check that out. But thanks again for sticking around throughout the whole video. Brett James, aka BJ, I'm out, y'all. Peace.